So this picture right here is these are what are called spindles, or I think archaeologists call them window dressings.
Mhm.
Meant to be, according to the archaeological record, purely decorative. Uh,
Oh, yeah, of course.
But if you look at them, in some of the sites that I'm starting to theorize are the oldest, this one's the Antiace, which is the famous red sandstone temple.
Yeah.
You can clearly see the machine marks on these spindles.
Yes.
I mean, the lines are perfectly clear. And, at sites like Kokere, these spindles are 2 or 3 times this size. So these are probably 6 inches wide. The ones at Kokere are like 9, 10, 11 inches. They're massive. Um, and so one of the theories that I'm starting to play with is you can see these spindles across all these different sites. And
Uh-huh.
the ones that are very clearly machined, like the best examples are at all of the pyramids and all of the
Mhm.
temples that I believe are the oldest. It's where you
The
see the
oldest,
basic
yeah.
work, you see um, you see the precise alignments across the geography with regard to being perfectly aligned with the center of one of the berets or perfectly aligned with another pyramid. So you can, as you start to walk around the sites, you can see these. And
Mhm.
then, just like in Peru or Egypt, you start to see the technology change and become a little bit less uh, precise, a little bit less
Mhm.
aggressive.
Mhm.
It I'm starting to believe all the way down to, so here's like the famous dinosaur, the temple, the Lara Croft temple with the trees and the little
Mhm.
dinosaur carving. These later temples that I'm theorizing are later. They're not even standalone spindles. They're just images carved into the stone in honor of the spindles that they
Mhm.
know how to make.
And we see examples of this in Egypt, but yeah, I'm following. That is so wild. And so what does the carbon dating and the etching dating say about the older stuff that you're saying is older? Like,
The There's no rhyme or reason to the dating. So generally, they date the pyramids to be older, but that's basically like 8 or 900 to like 1100 AD. And that
80.
it's all based on inscriptions. And then some of these places that have very precise spindles are dated much, much newer because somebody wrote an inscription that said it was built in 1200 AD. So
Mhm.
you can't really go off of the official dating. This is why I call my channel Secrets in Stone, is if you stare at
Yeah.
things long enough, we can start to piece together at least a working hypothesis for, okay, if I go to these sites and I see that the spindles are not standalone or they're not clearly lathed, maybe those are the newer sites in Cambodia. And then you can see the specific technology in the older ones, that original OG builders. It's far superior to things we find in the rest of the country.
Yeah. Well, I spray painted Dave Kicks ass on a big rock when I was a kid in the woods because I thought it was cool. And, that doesn't mean that, like, I made the rock. You know what I'm saying?
And you put your name on your mailbox. It doesn't mean you built your house.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah,
So we're so these are the examples of what you're saying are oldest to middle to newest, correct?
this is my theory. I can't
Mm.
prove it, but this is, I went into my last trip in Cambodia with this working hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I could tell, based on all the sites I went to, the ones with the most impressive, most precise stonework that are perfectly aligned with each other all have these very impressive lathed spindles. And it's not just spindles. Um, you can see this
Yeah.
this work on these massive pillars too,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
where they lathed them, like this one under Takao, which is that uh, pyramid that we were talking about earlier. You can
Uh-huh.
hear it was lathed, and then you can see where they later went in and carved over the top of it these decorative features.
Yes. Yeah. Reminds me of the Serapeum because the etchings on there don't seem to match the technology.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
um,
So yeah, everywhere you look, there's evidence of machining technology that is completely unacknowledged in the country.
I think it's an impressive riddle or feat, because obviously it would be much easier to carve in a replica of one of those spindles as opposed to be either making one separately that's precision fitted to the window and inserting it, or somehow removing, like negative constructing it in the window of the stone itself.
yeah, let's make this decorative window the most complicated as possible. Like just to be really decorative, right?
When I was up in Laos, I pointed to the spindles and I said, "These are machined." And she goes, "No, no, 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 no. They're not machined." She said they were for air conditioning the room. So she said it moved the air as the air came around it, and it created.
I could see that, but still, it's
Yeah.
still super complicated. So like, why?
Exactly. So yeah, the machining technology in Cambodia is it's everywhere, you know.
And it's under like reported, which is why what you're doing super important, and what Praveen's doing is super important. I've seen everything Praveen does. It's one of my faves, but like more voices need to be talking about these areas, because I believe the roof's about to come off the timeline of human civilization and human intelligence, and it kind of in the process of that. And so people like you, and that's why I love Aaron, because he has got all these videos of him at sites that people know about. It's not like they don't know they don't exist, but like in mainstream, people are like, wait a second, there's like a whole city over here and over there and under this canopy, and it's like, yeah, there is, and we have no real idea how old this shit is, like.
And by the way, it looks exactly like that other site in Egypt and Ethiopia and Syria. I mean, you start going down the line, and it all looks very similar.
So I'm glad you mentioned the Ethiopia videos. I really enjoyed your series on Ethiopia.